Well, it's almost winter time, so I thought we'd do a video on this because what I've noticed is probably, I'd guess, and it's a guess, about 90% of preppers get this wrong. What they get wrong is basically winter heat management. I grew up in northwest Montana where we used to get a lot of snow. And so I'm pretty familiar with dealing with the cold. Heat management is having multiple layers to your heating systems. Not just relying on one source. You need a backup to a backup to a backup, because nothing ever works right, of course, as we know. That's why we're preppers. You know, what we're gonna go over here is how to line this up. Because there's one thing that you also have to think about with your management is the fact that worry about your pipes. Think before you start this, when you're starting to set up, remember, you never want your pipes to freeze. Another thing you gotta really think about is your pets. Do you have a bird? Birds are very susceptible to the cold. Do you have fish? How are they gonna make it? Your dogs, your cats, you have reptiles. How are those? Yeah. You know, I mean, reptiles need to be kept warm. So when you're originally setting up your setup, make sure you take that in consideration. The next thing you need to take in consideration is your family, of course. I mean, well, it should be the other way around, but people forget about the pets. Next thing is, of course, children, babies, you know. How are you gonna keep them warm? So let's go with our multi-layer, okay? So let's start with the generators. You got a generator. So you wanna make sure you have fuel for your generator. What I recommend is at the beginning of the season, when it starts to get cold, turn off you don't want to freeze your pipes, but turn down your heat to maybe 45 and see how it feels. See, you know, how you handle it at night. That'll give you an idea we have to deal with, because it's surprising how quickly it cools off.
Yeah.
And so people have the generator, so they can do that. Well, you may run out of gas.
You may not be able to leave your house.
Yeah, you may not be able to leave your house.
So then what are you going to do if you can't go to the gas station?
Exactly. Yeah, and we also use those Mr. Heater or the Mr. Buddy propane heaters, which also can double as a little cook stove. And we have a link in the description if you want to watch that.
And whatever you do, don't barbecue in the house.
Or run your generator.
Or run your generator in the house.
In the house.
Yeah.
Make sure you have CO2 monitors.
Yes.
Make sure you have fire extinguishers.
Yes.
You know, you have those on hand in the winter. We also, what we do is to back that up. Another thing you want to do is you'll get blankets. And one trick that you do in the winter is you want to set up rooms so you have one room heated. You know, you don't want to heat up the entire house, obviously. So you pick a room and you put blankets over the doors. That gives you extra.
It seals in the heat.
Yep. Windows. Cover your windows with blankets. So when people get blankets, what they often think is they're going to get blankets, they're going to warm themselves up. You want blankets for that. But remember, you also want enough blankets to cover all your windows, cover your doors, make sure you cover under your door, go into the exterior of the house, have that really well. That gives you a little capsule. Okay, inside this little room, then you want to have like sleeping bag, because the sleeping bags are, I mean, I sleep out in the woods. I go down, I wake up and there's ice in my tent and I'm fine. What I recommend is getting a sleeping bag that's rated 20 degrees or lower. The thing about sleeping bag ratings is that they're basically your survival temperature. So at 20 degrees, if you're in a 20-degree sleeping bag in 20 degrees, you can be hating life, but you'll probably live. That's how you look at it. So then the next thing you'd want to have is,
I think you should probably, just as you said, stay isolated in one area to minimize your heat source.
Exactly.
Because you might not have power. And if you don't have power, you mean you're not going to be able to heat up the whole house. You're going to have to rely on your little heaters that are run with propane, the little propane bottles. So, if that's the case, then you want to minimize what rooms you heat up.
Remember when Texas got hit?
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, oh, I live in Texas. It's going to be fine. It's going to be wonderful. It's hot. It's a desert. Bam, they got hit. They got hammered. I mean, they got hammered bad.
They weren't prepared.
They weren't prepared.
Yeah, it's hot in Texas.
Yeah, and I mean, even down there, it just gets barely to zero, or even not even that cold, and they're having a hard time. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really understand how to use their equipment. You have to know how to run that generator, practice that generator. Know how to set it up. Another thing you can do that works great is buy a freestanding tent. They're the kind with the poles that go down, and then so you can actually pick them up and move them around. A small 2-man tent. You want to keep them small. You can have more than one. You can set them up inside your room, and that'll hold in the heat. So if you have a family, you have like 2 sleeps in one, they're in sleeping bags, another in sleeping bags. And otherwise you're sitting around, huddling around a little candle, wishing that you'd thought about this. So
in the living room, and make it a fun thing for you if you have kids.
Oh, exactly. That's a good point.
Make it a camp out in the living room, so everybody's stacked in your tent, piled with blankets or sleeping bags, and you're all isolated in that heat. That's
an excellent idea. And that's one thing that we always talk about on this channel is how, when you have any kind of emergency scenario, it's stressful, even for people who are, prepared. So you want to do everything you can to, make it comfortable. So, you should have games ready too. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Books, games, coloring books.
Puzzles.
Keep the kids busy.
Yeah, because the odds are if it's that cold, you don't have power. And you especially don't want to leave your house to go find a heating source because you don't know what it is out there, what it's like. The roads might not be plowed. It could be icy. And it could be accidents. People could be panicking. People panic when they go to the store. So you want to make sure you have everything ahead of time so you can bunker down in your home and be warm. It's
a great time just to bug in. Just do what you can. Stay warm. And remember, like I said, keep those pipes from freezing. So if you can get some heaters, and think about that when you're starting to decide what to get. That's why I want to do this video early, because there could be sales coming up and things like that. You can buy tents coming up on sale because it's the end of the summer. Buy tents.
That's a good point.
After
sleeping bags too at the end of summer.
Yeah, end of the summer, sleeping bags. Stocking caps, gloves. You always want those too.
Gloves always go on sale.
Yeah, they always go on sale. And actually, once again, growing from Montana, mittens actually keep your hands warmer. So if you can get mittens, they're harder to get anymore. But get mittens because then you can roll your hands up inside the mitten and it keeps you warmer. So clothes. Think about clothes, your warm clothes. As many blankets you have, just think about it ahead of time. And, and then look at like birds. Like I started off with animals, the birds. I used to have birds and they cannot handle temperature change. So you want to make sure you have the heating lamp for those little guys, maybe a backup battery, one of the big battery blocks. I did a video on that a long time ago. I'll put a link down there. Things like that for your birds, pets. And,
and also if you have dogs, keep them in your tent with you because that's body heat.
Yeah.
They'll keep you warm.
You just need to make sure you plan. And I think it is a good idea. I'm a person who likes to, try out my preps. I don't like to go into blind. I have a emergency response background, and I'm used to doing running scenarios. And so I recommend maybe one night when it starts to get cold, make it a little colder and turn off your thermostat and give it a try. See how you make it.
Yeah, and set up a tent in the living room.
Yeah, set up a tent and see how it goes. It's so much better to practice then and find what's wrong when you can go over the thermostat and turn that bad boy up than it is if you're going to be stuck for 1, 2, 3 a week without any heat.
Yeah.
So that's what I recommend. My name is Wayne.
And I'm Belinda.
And we're Normal Prepping. And if you're new here, welcome. Make sure everybody leaves a comment. We love comments. Talk to you later. Bye.